Hey YouTube, hey I finally watched Daredevil, so I'm going to talk about it now. I feel like I'm the last person on the internet to talk about this show, so now I'm going to talk about it and get it over and done with. Quick premise, for those who aren't familiar with the concept, Daredevil follows the story of attorney-at-law Matt Murdock, starting at a fledgling law firm with his friend Foggy Nelson in the battened down, corrupt, beaten up, disheveled piece of shit district in New York known as Hell's Kitchen. By day, he's an attorney who's blind. By night, he uses the gifts that were triggered by his blindness to fight crime as a masked vigilante who, by the end of the series, is known as Daredevil. Parallel to this, there is the kingpin of crime, the crime boss, mobster, guy, overlord who is known as Wilson Fisk. They both sort of have altruistic intentions for the city, but they're going about it in very different ways. Wilson Fisk feels he needs to burn down and clean the city to start over, not in the Ra's al Ghul way, but in just sort of controlling it through crime, making bribes, all corruption. Daredevil believes in just sort of standing up for the people, fighting crime, all that jazz, right? And that's the gist of it. That's all I'm going to tell you. What I would say to anybody who's going in, who's curious about this and hasn't checked it out yet, watch the first 10 minutes of episode 1. You get snippets of everything in that. You get to see him in action. You get a really cool confession scene with the guy who plays him, Charlie Cox. He's awesome. You get to see his origin story. His origin story sort of comes and goes through flashbacks. They employ flashbacks through the show, not as much as they would do in Flash and Arrow, but every now and then it's pretty cool. And then, let me see. Oh, and we also sort of see him starting up his law firm with Foggy Nelson. Cool. So you get the gist of it, of the show, the crux of the character. Great. If we're going to talk characters, we've got to talk about Wilson Fisk. The guy, just two things I want to talk about on this video. Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk is amazing. It is not the Kingpin that we've seen. It's not the Kingpin that we know from the comics. This guy has more neurosis, more sort of barely functioning rage, more somewhere on the autism spectrum. He's suffered tragedy at a young age, and you can see he's just barely functioning it together. It's not in a comical way. It's a really interesting choice for the character, and it's so endearing. You can see why in most superhero projects the villain is just a costume, a threat, a power, more than a character. This is not the case. This is one of those few cases where Marvel has pulled it out of the bag with a really awesome villain who's just character defining now. The central love story of this season of Daredevil happens with the Kingpin, the antagonist. He's the one who gets a really definable love story in this show. Not the lead, not Daredevil himself. It's amazing. So that's main point number 1. I should also talk about the supporting characters. Eldon Henson plays Foggy Nelson. Deborah Ann Woll from True Blood plays Karen Page, and they're actually really interesting. Rosario Dawson plays the Night Nurse, and again, really interesting. It's not like an Arrow or what have you when we're dealing with some of the supporting characters. We're like, can we please just get back to the action, please? Can we get back to the main dude? No, they serve a purpose. They're really well-rounded, interesting characters with really intriguing plots. And it's very much, it gets Daredevil. We should talk about the fights. Holy shit, the fights, dude. I'm going to talk about the scene that everyone's going to talk about when they talk about the fights. The end of episode 2. It's just all one shot in a hallway. It's like The Raid. It's like Oldboy. And it's just fucking amazing. Because Daredevil's powers, he doesn't have super strength. He doesn't have a healing factor. So when his suit and his skills evolve over the course of the series. When he takes a hit, he takes a hit. When he gets hit or stabbed or shot, you can feel it. He needs to be patched up the next day. If he gets a real beating, then the next episode is him recuperating. And because it's on the platform that is Netflix, it has the opportunity to do that without having things grind to a halt. It's a really new platform. It's a great method of telling stories. It's like a 13-hour film rather than a TV series that's sort of serialized over and portioned out week by week by week. It's brilliant. I would like to see more of this. The fights are awesome. I can't wait for season 2. There is, as much as you get of Daredevil, there is still more to tell. There are hints. We haven't, for those who aren't familiar with the comics, they haven't really cleared up where his mother is in any of the flashbacks or now. There is a hint of a Greek girl that he met in college, which I'm excited about. We haven't seen Bullseye, Typhoid Mary. There's so many more things that I would like to see in season 2 of Daredevil. I'll probably do like a wish list for season 2 once they get the ball rolling on that. But yeah, all in all, those are my thoughts on Daredevil. I hope you liked them. I sure as hell did. Not for nothing, a few weeks ago then when we had that massive trailer apocalypse, I wrote a piece on Comic Buzz in relation to that. I'll be sure to leave the link below. So if you like that, please click like, subscribe, view, share, and all the usual jazz. And I will see you when I see you, YouTube.